Call to order the July 2nd Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting. It is now 6:01. Is there anyone with any special business out that wants to talk prior?
I've not received any. No, and they are here for the presentation, and you guys will recognize Catherine, our city engineer here.
Right, okay. All right, so I guess we'll go on to the item number 1 is consideration and possible action on the June 4th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Folks, the minutes, I know that staff was working hard to try and get those out before the meeting or at the meeting, and they didn't get them done. So you can take no action, or you can table this until the next meeting, which is, after saying it out loud, the better one is just to table this.
Yeah, I make a motion that we table minutes.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion to table and a second. All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no. Item 1 passes. Number 2, consideration of possible action on a special use permit application for paramedical and fine line tattooing business located at 14375 Liberty Street, Suite 105, Montgomery, Texas. This was, if you recall, we tabled this
At the last meeting.
just to, I guess, see if she could verify wording, but I guess because it's a state.
Right, so in talking with the city attorney, their guidance is, the license or the act that she's being licensed for by the state is called tattooing. Our table of uses calls it a tattoo parlor. But again, so I think the recommendation needs to necessarily include that. But again, you know, with whatever conditions, if you wanted to recommend approval on it, it'd be with whatever conditions you guys
Now
have.
that has to go to city council plus a public meeting, right?
Yes, sir. So their next step, the council step would be to call a public hearing. Then they will receive y'all's report. They'll hold their public hearing, and then they'll act on the ordinance. You know, again, kind of assuming that they're going to allow it.
Okay, based on the information that we were provided, I make a motion that we accept the request.
So a recommendation to approve the use?
Approve the use, yes.
I have a motion to approve the special use.
I second it.
I have a second. All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no.
No.
Okay, the yeses have it. Item number 2 passes. Moving on to the third one. Man, we're going through this quick. Presentation and discussion proposed 50-acre mixed-use development west of Cedar Break Park along the north frontage of Eva Street and State Highway 105.
Members of the commission, the development team is here. I will let them come up to the podium and introduce themselves and give you a little overview. There's a hard copy, so y'all know, instead of firing the TV up, just in the absence of an audience at all, what I've given them is a hard copy of what I got from Justin earlier today. So they've got the presentation. Do you want this? Do you want a copy of this?
I've got one.
Okay.
Jonathan White, Elsewhere Engineering. We've got Justin and Tom with Grace Point Homes here representing the development. I'm a civil engineer. So Justin had put together the presentation packet, which should look like this here. So this is a approximate 50-acre development kind of in the heart, just the west of the heart of town, just west of Cedar Break Park. So this is going to be an extension of Caroline Street, where we will have a couple of different types of products. Grace Point Homes will be pitching about 71 lots. They're going to be 45-foot wide frontage by 110. Those are alley-loaded lots, so they're kind of trying to look at more of like a streetscape style home, very similar to the product that's on the west side of the park currently there. Their other ones are going to be 50 by 100. 27 lots of those, based on this current land plan, those are going to be garage loaded through the front. Price points for the homes were $550 to $750. Is that about right? So a couple different type of products, but it is going to be a higher end product. So the vision of this is to be able to have kind of like your double fronted, boulevarded style, landscape style, road extension from Caroline. All those homes are going to be alley loaded, like I said. So they're really looking for like the vision of the streetscape, connectability through kind of the historic district back into downtown. So they can kind of have some walking trails or golf carts to be able to get into the heart of town there. So there will be a couple of variances they would be ultimately seeking. Tonight we're just here to kind of present the project to you, get your general feedback so we can kind of make sure that things work on our end and come back. Next steps would be feasibility study with the city and the city engineer, and then variance requests, preliminary plats, things like that. There is going to be a commercial component, so along Highway 105, there's 2 tracks, 1 acres and 2 acre commercial tracks. There'll be a frontage. We'll have to kind of see what kind of uses they're going to have there. And then the 13 acres of mixed use, really depends on who the user may be, but we're kind of thinking it could be professional offices, retail, restaurant style, 2-story building style, probably, really trying to sell it to a few Houston developers who can come up here and put that type of product on the ground.
When you talk when you talk 2-story, you talk about residents above the businesses?
No residences.
Okay.
It'll be like, what I would say, maybe offices, second floor, restaurants, bottom floor, maybe some retail pieces. The lake and detention would kind of be amenitized. I kind of think a restaurant view of the lake. There will be a comprehensive drainage study on this. So this is the upper end of Town Creek. We know that we've had some issues downstream. I'm also working on the Tri-Point deal, which is west of this. It's 108 acres. We're currently working on a drainage study there. So we're kind of looking at that 108 acres for drainage and this 50 acres for drainage. And we'll make sure that everything kind of ties in together well to where it's not, one person working on that whole picture kind of just makes it look a little bit better and can make sure that it works as a whole. So we just kind of wanted to present this to you, get your general thoughts and feedback on it. Happy to answer any kind of questions. Development team is here, like I said, who can speak on the product and style of development that they're looking to put on the ground as well.
Okay, I got a couple of issues. I don't know what it is, but first of all, I would not approve any lot size narrower than 55 foot.
Okay.
The other thing is that when you show the alley and you say that 71 lots are alley load, does that mean that the people will be driving into their garages off the alley?
Yes. So on I think it's the 3rd page of this packet, today, approach, you got 2 styles of the houses. So these front 2 are going to be your typical houses where you've got the driveway and the garage that's your front loaded. Your alley loaded will look like this. There's no garage up front, so this is the vision that you'll see as you're driving down that boulevard section.
Yeah, but the garages will
Garage
be
in the
from the
back,
back.
so there's
Okay.
going to be an alley blocking
Okay.
it. So it's more of a beautiful style streetscape, and because of that, there's a lot of sacrifice. You got twice as much concrete, double the size of the roads, and you got the alley, and so the density goes way down. So typically with your 45-foot products or your 50-foot products, you're going to see price points in like the 250 range, maybe 225 range. These are going to be higher end products on a lower end lot because of the sacrifices they're making on the development side.
Well, are you developing the covenants and restrictions? The only way that 18-foot alley is going to work is if you have in the covenants and restrictions absolutely no parking in the alley. And I don't-
We don't promote parking in the alleyways. No.
Well, I'm just telling you, you have to be able to enforce it because fire trucks are 9 foot 9 inches wide. If a car is parked there, a fire truck can't get through.
We would not promote any type of fire lane access from an alley, but they would be front loaded. They still have street frontage, and so the fire trucks would access from the frontage. They would not be accessing through the rear.
Okay, how wide is the street opposite the median? The median,
28. I believe it's drawn in at 28. I believe it's 28 feet.
okay, now, I'm going to ask the question we've asked before and been given the wrong answer. Is that 28 feet flat street surface, not counting curbs?
It's back of curb to back of curb. It's a 26-foot face of road. The boulevard section is actually going to be 6-inch curb most likely since we're not going to have driveways. So it'll be 27 feet face to face. I know that the mayor brought up a concern, I think at the last meeting when we pitched the Mulago development to you guys, and there were some concerns about road widths. And so Montgomery County, I know the city's minimum is 28 feet. A lot of people had a question on minimum street widths, if that's something that fire marshals look at, as something they've approved or looked into. Montgomery County, on their open ditch subdivisions, their minimum requirement for paved road is 20 feet wide. That's all they require, Montgomery County. Now, Montgomery County Fire Marshal's Office, because of the county engineering office is updating their current development manual, they coordinated with the Fire Marshal's Office. The Fire Marshal asked for 28-foot minimum paved roads, that is back of curve to back of curve. So if you've got a rollover curve, that's 12-inch curve on both sides, that's 26-foot face-to-face. That is the minimum requirement that the Fire Marshal wanted to set forth over the entire county. So the city has a matching cross-section for that.
So now I see you got 50-foot street coming in, what you want, you're looking at future College Street. That's good there. And then you've got the median, which is an extension of Caroline Street. And you're saying on either side of the median is 28 feet?
On that part, yes, on 28 feet. For the other lots that are going to be driveway fronted, that'll have the driveways in the front, those will be 28 foot, still 2-lane, 14 and 14. But on the boulevard section, you've got 28 feet on both sides.
Right. Now, you're showing 50 foot for the street on the other one.
Public, that's the right of way.
Oh, so
The
the
50
street,
feet your public right of way. So that's the right of way width that we dedicate. Your 28-foot road is within that 50 feet.
One problem I see is the extension of College Street and Caroline Street. Today, neither one of those streets would handle any kind of traffic more than what they have.
No, that's why we have the boulevard entry on 105. That's going to be your main point of access. There'll be some coordination with TxDOT trying to, we'll have to, I know they're doing a raised median project through town going west, so we'll have to coordinate with them about potentially getting a left turn lane in, if that's even possible.
It sounds good, you're going to have them exiting on a 105, but any traffic on those two streets today is going to be, whatever it is, 5 cars, 10 cars, 20 cars.
Right.
They're not in that kind of condition.
I understand that. I believe that Caroline is, what the county minimum was around 20 feet.
We keep referring to the county. Maybe we need to improve our standards beyond the county.
Well, I mean, y'all have your own set of standards. I was just referring to the county because the county did confer with the fire marshal's office to find out what they would require if they had the
Now, is the
choice.
fire marshal going to make a review of this plat?
That's a big question right now, is when and if they get the review. So a part of our due diligence, we like to involve the fire marshal. We involve the fire marshal, he sends it to the local FD here in town, and then they get the voice.
Yeah, that's my only concern is putting that, not everyone's going to use the main entrance off 105.
Correct.
And like John was saying, the street width on College of Caroline, they can't carry one car.
Correct. And so that's, we want to be able to promote access from this development into downtown. And so nobody's going to want to get on 105 to go east towards downtown. So, connections with sidewalks, west side of the park has sidewalks. We try to connect that over the crossing, the bridge crossing that's there right now. So connectability with sidewalks and things like that for, pedestrian movement.
I know, you don't have your drainage study, done yet, or even probably looking at it yet.
It actually is in process.
But that is going to be a main concern, because you sat here at the last meeting, and we have a mess in town. And it's, that's something that we really need to look at with the engineers, is not only the effects it's going to be in your property, but what it's going to affect downstream and future, if you can predict what's going to happen upstream to affect your properties.
Right, so what the county typically only requires us to study the hydrology. So that's going to be the flow characteristics of the water. So that's going to be flow rate. We detain to make sure that we don't increase flow. For something like this, we'd like to also study the hydraulics, which is going to be your water surface elevations. So we're going to do like 2 checks. So I met with the county yesterday, in fact, where we provided them the hydrology and the hydraulics, and they were like, why did you provide both? We just want the hydrology, don't care about the hydraulics. We had the discussion of, well, we prefer to give you the extra level of detail so we can say, okay, we've reduced flow, but we've also hasn't reduced water surface elevation. And typically those two go hand in hand, but providing that extra level of detail does help just then paint that picture to any concerning resident. It could be downstream or a neighbor, et cetera. So we are doing a full H&H, which is a little bit beyond what the minimum requirement is. Especially since there's some floodplain involvement on that west side, we just do that to double check.
So you're gonna build 3 houses right across from the park in succession with those other 4 homes? 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 homes?
Yeah, so the part of the acquisition is that corner. I think originally it was gonna be a commercial corner.
Is it gonna be, so it was commercial and you're gonna ask for it to be changed?
I don't know if it's zoned commercial or not. I know the intention.
That corner, you know where they have the red?
You know, my sense is it's probably zoned commercial. It is. You could use it for R1 without, but if you were going to put houses on there, you would want to go to an R1
Okay.
zoning to.
And my other question is, I see water, and one of them says detention, and then I just see like a pond. And I thought there was water all the way through in that area. And I see houses that are between the detention pond and the other one that doesn't have anything
It
written
says,
on it.
that's creek detention.
Right here?
Yeah, another one.
Yes.
It says creek detention.
So
Oh,
that
does it? Okay, it does say it, okay.
That's a little channel. I mean, I know it's across City Hall, but if you look, it is a little depression, a channel.
Yeah.
Especially where the sanitary sewer
Yes.
follows that location. And so we'll put detention, but the likelihood of it actually holding water, that's usually in design. If we need some extra dirt, we can make that happen. The intention on the west side where it says lake, that would be amenitized. The ponds on the east side may or may not be.
Yeah, I was just wondering, that's water there. Like, I've walked it, I've rode by, it's
It's-
water
it's
there.
wet.
And I see houses that you're proposing to build there.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to build that up.
Is it wetland?
It doesn't look,
I mean, it wouldn't be a jurisdictional wetland. Jurisdictional wetlands usually only occur in floodplain.
take a walk over there, it's
Yeah.
wet. Yeah.
On College Street, you ain't got several homes there backing up to College Street and then the subdivision to the north there. How would you treat that property line there?
They're actually gonna front our proposed road, they won't front College.
Yeah, I'm just asking about a barrier
Well,
at that location.
College Street is supposed to punch through. There is a question that if there is a 1-foot spike strip, that would prevent us from connecting to College Street. So those are things that we don't even know if we can extend College Street or connect to College Street at this point. Those are things that we're working through due diligence right now, if that's even a possibility.
Oh, so that entrance may not even be
They
feasible.
may not be feasible, correct. I believe the previous owner of the tract to the north may have put a spike strip there. So I know that y'all also engaged some consultants to kind of relook at kind of a comprehensive planning tool for you guys. It's going to be done over the next couple of years. These are products that they may be very familiar with in these type of areas. They're not a normal type of product that you would normally see. So, I encourage maybe any kind of conversations with them to say, when we do see these types of developments, these are other things that we typically would see in terms of alley loading or density or lot sizes, valuations, et cetera, just to show that we're not trying to maximize.
Okay, just so you know, I'm going to be opposed to anything less than 55 foot with a 10-foot setback on the sides.
Understood?
Is there a reason why? I mean, what's the opposition?
One of the things is because of the parking drives a lot of it. The other is the proximity of people. If you're going to put the lots that small, just make row houses. Don't put individual houses. Just make it multi-use and put row houses through there. And with that way you don't have any issues with side yards. With 5-foot setback, you can't put air conditioners. If somebody wants to put an emergency generator, they don't have any place to put it unless you wire it up from the back so that it can accommodate them to be able to put the generator in the back. And my other concern is emergency response with the streets. The 28-foot street with the 25-foot flat area, if a car is parked there on either side of it, a fire truck can't get through. Fire trucks are here at the fire station down the street here, fire trucks are 9 foot 9 inches wide. And that,
So even with the county fire marshal's approval, with the street width that we would propose, it's still a concern?
yes, absolutely. I worked as an emergency planning manager for a county, and I ran through this stuff for years, and I saw people die because of the fact that the emergency vehicles couldn't get there. And that was because you can't enforce parking. That's the problem. You got this 18-foot alleyway, and unless you have some way of putting it in the covenants and restrictions, absolutely no parking in the alleyway, you're not going to be able to enforce it.
Right, I mean, again, we would never propose,
Well, we
advertise.
we built these types of communities in Shenandoah, and we have the same size alleyway. There's nobody parks in those anyway. I mean, you use it to get into your garage.
Yeah, but what if happens if you got a family with 2 teenagers, you got 4 cars, not enough room in the garage, or they don't want to cycle?
There's a driveway that goes up to the garage, so someone will park on that portion of the driveway, but it doesn't extend into the road. And the road is typically a one-way anyway, so if you park there, you would be illegally parking, and your car would be removed.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. You can build it and everything, and if you don't put it in the covenants and restrictions,
Well, we wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, we'll put that in the code.
Yeah, we would not be trying to promote people parking in the 18. We would promote emergency vehicle access should go through there. That is something that they would not do.
Now, the benefit of the alley for us was to keep all of the cars off this main boulevard and kind of keep flow going in from, kind of into the city, walkability, park, that kind of stuff, and then, also keep garbage cans off the,
well, visitors are going to park in the front, because the front entrance is there, visitors are going to park right in the front.
they can.
Yeah.
You know, one thought on the separated road, if you've got 28 feet on both sides, because I had thought that it was, one lane each way and that it would be a one-way, but if you made that, the kind of the boulevard section a one-way with the current widths, then you solve basically your parking and lane problem.
Well, they would have a 9-foot parking space, right, parallel parking along the roadway, and then the rest would still be, you'd have 18 feet left for a single drive lane.
Right, so I mean, to me, on looking at it, it feels like the boulevard, has more than enough, room with some other tools in the toolbox to look at. To the alleys, the way that they keep cars out of the alleys is that those aren't deeded over to the city. Whereas the city has a real hard time saying, no, you can't park here. Those alleys would very likely, I don't know for 100%, but the city's position would likely be that those are going to remain a private alley. They're effectively like a driveway. That's what the ones at the park are over here. Those, the alley that's on the back side, those, I'm 99% sure, Catherine.
They're private.
There's a platted as an alley, but it's privately maintained
Yeah, so
and enforced.
those deed restrictions, they're able to have some teeth in that alley.
I understand that. That's why I say you have to put it in the covenant restrictions that there's no parking in the alleys.
Has there been any issues with parking in the alleys next door? The west side of the park, do y'all know?
Well, all the alleys, the 18-foot alleys.
I'm just asking, has there been any issues with the current?
I know of, there's a home over there that someone I know lived there, and I will tell you that they were visited by the police and saying, we know that that's your vehicle there, you need to move it or we're going to give you a ticket or whatever. And that was in the area that you're talking about, right over here.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, like, I I know that it happened, because they
Yeah.
moved.
I mean, I'm sure it's almost impossible to fully prevent it, but at least it's also being enforced.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you, Montgomery police have visited that area over there.
I know
The only
that.
reason I know.
I know from, I've been on two different HOA boards, and I know that if you put it in the covenant restrictions, the HOA has more teeth than the city.
Sure.
And if you put it in there and the HOA sees it and everything and recognizes they're gonna enforce it, then the city doesn't have the headache of trying to enforce it.
And I'm sure that's, if, when we ever get to an action item, if y'all say approved subject to that being in the covenants and restrictions reviewed by the city staff, and I don't think y'all would have an issue at all with that being a part of those covenants.
There's many of these subdivisions just like this all over South Montgomery County with private driveways in the back for access. And as long as it meets the fire marshal's requirements, I don't have a problem with it. The only problem I have is, like I told you, if we try to use those two existing streets for access, the city's got a problem. We need to upgrade those streets.
Now, I know we are part of, we do have to upgrade Shepherd. As you know, Shepherd was widened with those
Right.
houses. It kind of tapered back, so part of what we had to do is to widen Shepherd out to 105.
And while we're talking about that, one, I guess, grievance I have over the appearance of that subdivision, the way it's done, is the houses didn't follow the topo. It just looks like it's too damn much up and down, the big bar ditches in front. That's the kind of stuff we're gonna do. We need to
Now,
pass on it.
the difference of this is, that was probably a special case. These will actually be curb and gutter, so no bar ditches, curbs on both sides, underground storm sewer to help those transitions. I don't know if the topo, from my recall, is not as bad, but we would do a full lot grading plan on something to this size.
Yeah,
not
and
like this infill type development.
Definitely get the elevations closer to one another. Thank you.
Happy to answer anything else unless.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. That's it for y'all. That it? Okay. Commission inquiry, is there anything anyone wants to bring up at this point?
I'd like to know where we're at with, or do we have any possibility of doing anything with the dumpsters?
Did we, Miriam, I'll apologize for not reading what the code enforcement officer said, but what I forwarded to you guys, did that not answer that? I'll dig.
Well, it said that during construction, or that they would be required to cover the dumpsters and that, but
I'll look into it again. There's nothing that I'm moving forward on it, but I'll be glad to look at it. If it's something like we need to add a code, honestly, I'm going to recommend that that's done by the development team that's doing our stuff.
okay, then I've got just an advisory question for all of you here. Personal issue. My son's coffee shop, he's now selling soft serve ice cream. And he wants me to make him a self-serve or an ice cream cone. Can he set that out there without having to get permission? I mean, it's just like a temporary stand-up?
Is he putting it in at the end of the day, or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't consider that an exterior modification, or, I mean, you could, I think if you really tried to, hem him into a sign or something like that, you could, but,
No, it's just to let everybody know
I
that he's
think something
serving
that's
it.
out during business hours and put up, not during business
Yeah,
hours.
he's already got one of the fold-ups that he sets out front, so.
Yeah.
I have only one thing. We previously spoke about it. You spoke to the fact that we will add to a list to the development personnel that is working with our city right now, add code in regards to dumpsters. I'd like to also add, I'd like something, I don't know what it is, ordinance or what we can do, starting on 105, right up 149, across from the community center, the Burger Fresh, the empty parking lot, and in Stitches. I'm just wondering the ordinances that would be required to ask them to improve their appearance of of their establishments, because it's not continuous flow of what the historic district and the historic area is got going on. Like, it's like they forgot the memo. So I'd like, I don't even know if we need to address it, write the new owner of the parking lot or the parking area, empty lot area, like, could you clean it up? Can you pull the dead trees away? Maybe Burger Fresh can put a fresh coat of paint, clean up around the area, and maybe in stitches, maybe, you know, they improved their sign, but they didn't improve their building. So I don't know what it is that you need to address to the development
I
company.
will talk with Gary about, you know, what our options are. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think there's a maintenance code thing that we're gonna fall back on, but if there's anything that we can, you know, creatively come up with that, you know, might help, you know, we're certainly open to that.
It's just not cohesive. You know, you drive down there and all of a sudden it's like, whoop, you know, and then you go, you know, we're trying to get people to come to our, and hey, you know, Burger Fresh has got a good burger, but I'm just saying, and In Stitches is a great seamstress, but by all outside appearances. That's all I have to add.
You got the same thing at Shipley, don't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's run down, looks like heck. I have one also, wanted to talk about, abating abandoned buildings. Now, I know that this has been a hot issue in the legislature, and they recently passed some new laws. We obviously have 2 or 3 houses along 149 that need to come out, or something happened with them. I worked on it myself, trying to get those buildings removed, and didn't have much luck at the time, but the law has changed. And now the law says that if you're not going to tear it down, you got to put a fence up around it. So let's get them to get the fence up, absorb the cost of that, and identify the taxes that they're paying, because it is an existing dwelling. They got to be paying taxes. Put some friendly pressure on them and get those houses cleaned up.
I will pass that on to Gary to see what action he wants me to take on it.
Okay. Now I have one thing concerning the last meeting. If there's any update on the dealings with the church and the residential properties that the flooding that has occurred, is anything?
I've not heard anything.
Okay.
I was gone for about a week and a half or so.
My concern is, you know, I know we have ordinances, you know, in place for the buffers and all that, but then again, your ordinances are only as good as your enforcement. And I know we don't have really any enforcement codes.
You know, if I were asked if they were in compliance right now, my gut tells me yes. That's because our standards are not hard to meet. I've not.
Right.
But I would believe that fence is gonna, you know, meet their visual barrier.
Right, well, maybe, yeah, that's something we need to look at with the, you know.
But they've reached out to me, the church had reached out to me about a possible expansion, so this may be an awesome opportunity to
Well,
kind
then
of
they're
get
gonna
them
have to
back.
go through a lot of hoops to, because I'd be hard pressed to even think about giving a yes vote on any commercial property that was going to, or rezoned, that's any property that's going to be rezoned commercial, that's going to back up to an existing residential piece of property because of what's happened down here. You know, it's not fair to those homeowners, what's going on. So,
You know, one thing, speaking of that issue itself, one thing we need to ask our engineers to do is we are, so this area you're talking about is where we had a developer go in, develop property downhill from, put all these houses downhill, and didn't set any kind of, didn't create any kind of interceptor ditch along the back, and then create some access, some easements out to take the drainage away from those retainage walls in the back. It's actually called a retainage ditch. And I'm sure you're familiar with what I'm talking about. So, you know, that's where we just let the developer just saunter out there and do whatever he wanted to. And now we're all paying the price for it. So we need to look at those drainage plans closely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question to Catherine, is, like I mentioned to them, is, a developer develops this, and now I understand that he's only concerned with draining his development, correct?
You're talking about the developer who's.
Yeah, or whoever,
No.
yeah.
So whenever we're reviewing drainage plans, they have to show that the amount of water leaving their property is less than or equal to what was leaving their property before they developed. So if they're increasing impervious cover, be it however that may be, if there's an increase in impervious, we have to see drainage calculations that show how they're gonna handle that. So
Okay.
that post-developed flow is less than or equal to pre-developed flow.
You're familiar with the law, and you know that those homeowners downhill have to accept that water.
Correct.
And, what we're hearing is here that the city becomes the agent to stop the surface water shedding across the property. And that's just not the way it is. We need to make them aware of their own responsibilities to accept cheap flow and deal with it where they have to. But I think in this case, I'm talking about that particular line of houses there, was because the developer didn't identify that everything there is downhill. I've had kinfolk over there with water in the swimming pool, all kinds of issues over there because of lack of not looking to what the runoff was going to be and installing such a thing as an interceptor ditch and easements to let it drain off.
I got a curious question. I noticed after the last couple storms that Town Creek is washed out severely over there along Lone Star Parkway. Is there any long-range plans for that? I live in Town Creek Crossing, and I know that the creek comes back behind the two schools.
Yes.
And I noticed they went through all the work of putting the rocks there last year, and then they're all sitting in the middle of the creek now. Is there, what kind of planning is going on for that?
So there is a much longer answer to that question. So the city engaged an engineering firm to do a study over all of Town Creek, kind of an erosion analysis. What the city is up against right now is that most of that area is private property.
The creek itself, the creek bed? I thought that there were
Much of it is
Federal
owned by
or-
the mud that you live in. Mud
So
160.
the portion of the creek behind Town Creek Crossing is owned by Mud 160.
okay, that part there, but coming past there, coming
Past
behind
there,
the
on
two
other side of
schools.
Lone Star Parkway is private property. And so the city is limited in what we are able to do.
So who did all that rock work then? The property owners?
Right under Lone Star Parkway, that was the county. Lone Star Parkway is owned by Montgomery County. So they came in and did their improvements project at the
Oh,
time.
because of the bridge?
Because of the bridge, exactly. So the bridge was being undermined because of the erosion. So they came in and installed sheet piles and riprap, the rocks, within their right of way where they're allowed to work. So they did that improvement to their area, and the city is, we're not able to do improvements on private property without an easement. We do not have.
So we went through that before with Ayers Branch. Ayers Branch backs water up all into Martin Luther King Boulevard in that general area. And so we may have went in there and cleared out some trash to get it to work, but it's still a problem. So you're saying that we can't do anything with that at all because of the ownership of that property?
Well, this wouldn't involve just the cleaning out, though. This would be a major restoration.
Ayers Branch probably needs that, David.
Well, to do, the erosion issues is along Town Creek, Atkins Creek, which goes behind the Paradise stuff along 1097. And then another branch of Town Creek, which then goes in a different spot of 1097 across from Summit Business Park. There's Anders Branch. So to just go in and repair one section wouldn't necessarily be effective because it's going to continue to erode and continue to be an issue the solution is a repair of the entire situation, which estimates have been between $6 and $20 million.
So I guess the big thing is protect the Lone Star Parkway.
Correct, so the county's aware of how close it's getting to Lone Star Parkway. I was out there 2 or 3 weeks ago, made a phone call to the county engineer to let them know, like, your road is being threatened.
I was amazed by the amount of washout because, they worked for months to put all that riprap in there and everything, and then now it's sitting in the middle and the walls are completely washed out.
Yes,
Where'd all that dirt go?
to the bottom of the creek.
Downstream.
Downstream.
Yep.
The city has had to.
And it's on both sides, because the other side, on both sides of the bridge, it's a complete washout.
The city has had to relocate 2 force mains and 2 emergency.
Is that work going on over there? I saw work, yeah.
Yes, those are 2 emergency force main relocations right there. The city is doing a sanitary sewer relocation along 297 because of the erosion.
And the storm coming may add to it.
Get nervous when it rains.
Okay,
I make a motion to adjourn.
okay. We have
I
a motion
second.
And a second. We adjourn this meeting at 6:42.
All in favor, aye.